Recently, I had the privilege of having Joe Scheidler, the godfather of pro-life activism, here in studio. And we were in front of the camera for over 3 hours. We decided that we would do a multi-part series of that interview. This is episode 5, if my memory is correct. And if you enjoy what you see here today, you can find all the episodes online, any that you missed. If I say to you, what do you think about Nazi Germany? What do you think about the Holocaust? What pops into your head? Well, usually, especially if I say Holocaust, what pops into most people's minds are the images that they have seen over the years of the concentration camps. Images of bodies piled up. Images of skin and bone. People who survived the Holocaust barely. Some who actually died after the Allies rescued them because their bodies were so emaciated, because their bodies, their internal organs couldn't even function anymore from starvation. Well, the babies who are dying from abortion, there are many people who use words, pro-choice, woman's right to choose, a woman's body. They use words to justify this horrific crime against innocent children, but it's images, pictures, moving pictures that decimate those arguments. There were Nazis who had all kinds of arguments why the Jews were the problem, how they betrayed the country, they were responsible for the German defeat in World War I, on and on. But when you see the pictures, that's what changed hearts, and that's what decimated all of the arguments about the Jewish question. Let's go to the interview with Joe Scheidler. I hope that you find today's episode inspiring.
I remember way back when Life magazine came out with a series on prenatal life.
Yes.
The Nielsen pictures. I bought that magazine.
That was a huge help for us.
I still have it. That was a fantastic help. We have gotten so much help from people who probably didn't mean to help us, but they did. And so we blew up the pictures right away, went out on the streets. And I wouldn't let people talk me out of it. I would show the pictures, still do. We still go out with the pictures. We have Face the Truth tours every summer. We lie in the streets of Chicago and the suburbs and go up into Wisconsin and all around down to Indiana. And we line the streets and people have to look at the pictures. And we get lots of thumbs up and we get lots of thumbs down.
But, or them pointing at a bird at the sky.
Yeah. Or we get people actually drive at us. We've had everything happen. But I think we have to show the pictures, and we continue to.
Good. I completely concur. I had somebody say, well, no, it hurts the feelings of women who've killed their baby. And I say, that'd be like saying that, first of all, God can forgive those women, and we want them to find help and healing, but it'd be like saying we can't show pictures of the Jews from Auschwitz because it might hurt the feelings of the guards who work there.
Well, I tell people one of the most graphic, horrifying pictures you can think of is the crucifixion of Christ. And yet, we're required to have it. At every altar where Mass is said, there has to be a crucifix. And if we have to look at a man beaten to death practically and scourged and crowned with thorns and nailed to wood, we're required to look at that picture. Why can't we look at a baby that's been aborted? Seeing is believing.
On our television show, we're seen literally across the country, and there are a lot of good Christian people who believe that abortion is murder, but have never gone out to an abortion mill. And some of them either don't vote or have voted for pro-abortion candidates.
Right.
I'd like you to speak directly to them. The sins of omission people.
The sin of omission is worse than the sin of commission.
Explain that, please.
Well, there's something cowardly attached to the omission. not doing something.
Yeah, for those who don't understand, the sin of omission is when James said, for him who knows to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. It's if you know that you're supposed to feed your child and you say, no, I'm not feeding my child, that's a sin. The sin of omission, something you omitted, something you did not do. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, commission is bad, but commission at least takes some energy and takes some decision. And it may be a terrible thing, and any sin is terrible. But omission is a weakness, is a lack of something that should be there. And everything, nature is repulsed by the negative, by the absence of being. Nature is repulsed by the negative. And I think human beings are more offended by the lack of something good that should be there than by even a commission of something.
That's interesting. I'm thinking of that lady who was beaten to death in New York City decades ago while people watched and didn't intervene. And the anger, that happened to me. When I was 8 years old, there were 3 little girls that were abducted and murdered, abducted, molested, and then murdered in Rochester, New York. And it really shook the community. And they didn't know who did it. They never got the person. But they were teaching us kids in school, don't go with a stranger, never get in someone's car. But the third child, the third little girl, somehow the perpetrator had pulled off the road, and the girl jumped out of the car and was naked running against traffic on the side of the road, and 100 cars passed her, and not one driver stopped.
No, but they did anything.
And I remember hearing about that as a boy from my mother, and the rage I felt, as a child, the rage I felt towards those 100 drivers who drove by and saw a little girl screaming and running down the side of the road naked while someone was chasing her and did not stop.
Yeah, reprehensible.
It really is.
Yeah.